Have you ever imagined a heavy truck accelerating like a race machine, with a massive engine, a deep roar, and enough force to push tons of weight down the road? In America, there are trucks that do not impress only because of their size. They stand out because of their horsepower, brutal torque, and the speed they can reach even while carrying huge structures. These are machines that make the ground shake when they pass by, combining heavy-duty engineering with surprising performance. Every launch shows that these giants were not built only to work, but also to command respect on the road. Today you are going to see trucks that combine strong engines, heavy performance, and an insane presence in motion. Stay with me until the end, because the last truck on this list proves that when horsepower and heavy trucks come together, the result can be absolutely insane. Ford Truck V8 Patriot, 1937. The 1937 Ford Truck V8 Patriot is one of those projects that seems impossible until someone turns the key. The base is an old Ford built in rat rod style, but the heart of this machine comes from an unexpected origin, a Patriot missile battery. Instead of a common hot rod V8, it received an air-cooled, twin-turbo Deutz V8 engine, built entirely out of aluminum, with 12.763 liters, or 778 cubic inches. This 8-cylinder engine delivers around 385 horsepower and a brutal 1,300 pound-feet of torque, which is about 180 kilogram force meters. There are no reliable official numbers for 0 to 60 miles per hour or top speed, because this build was not created for the track, but to make a visual, mechanical, and sound impact. The transmission is a turbo 400 automatic with manual valves, a classic and tough setup. The visual side is just as wild as the mechanics. The engine is completely exposed. The two turbos look like pieces of artillery. The vertical exhaust stacks release that dry and heavy roar, and the exposed tanks reinforce the feeling of an experimental machine. Inside, the Patriot also has a 24-volt electrical system, an air horn, and even a boat-style throttle between the seats. In practice, this is not a conventional work truck. The Patriot became a custom engineering piece made for events, exhibitions, and extreme rat rod gatherings. And that goldness earned real recognition, with awards and highlights at events like High Plains Riot, Darrell's Starboard Best of Show, OP Build-Off, Wrenchfest, and SEMA. It proves that power does not always come in the form of a modern truck packed with electronics. Sometimes, it shows up in a 1937 body, with visible rust, military soul, and enough torque to make any enthusiast smile. And if this Ford already feels completely outside the norm, the next one starts taking brute force into even heavier territory. Kenworth C510. The Kenworth C510 is a giant built for heavy-duty work, the kind of truck that looks like a small building rolling on wheels. Manufactured by Kenworth, it became known in Australian road trains, where horsepower, strength, and stability have to work together all the time. Even though its most famous use is outside America, it enters this list because of the mechanical brutality it represents. The most impressive version appears equipped with a modified V12 engine, capable of getting close to 1,000 horsepower. It is a 12-cylinder engine made to push enormous combinations, with enough strength to pull up to 450 tons in special operations. 0 to 60 miles per hour does not make much sense for a truck of this size, but its road speed can be around 62 miles per hour. The transmission usually works with heavy manual or automated configurations for severe duty service, with long gear ratios to keep the engine pulling strong over huge distances. The 10x6 configuration shows the purpose of the machine very clearly, maintaining control and traction capacity even while pulling gigantic combinations. In some extreme setups, even the trailer can receive powered assistance to overcome difficult terrain. The C510 commands respect from far away. The tall front end, reinforced bumper, vertical exhaust stacks, and raised cab give the feeling of a truck built to cross a continent without asking permission. In road train service, it can work with legal combinations of about 175 feet, or even longer in off-road areas. In practice, it is used where ordinary trucks simply would not stand a chance. Heavy transport, mining, remote areas, and long routes through harsh regions. The Kenworth C510 became a symbol of strength because it represents a category where horsepower is not a luxury, it is a necessity. And when a truck of this size receives a 1,000 horsepower V12, it stops being just a work tool and becomes a true legend on wheels. And if the C510 already impresses with its ability to pull absurd loads, the next one shows that brute power can also come with speed and an even more aggressive presence. Chevrolet V12 Quad-Turbo. The Chevrolet V12 Quad-Turbo is the kind of truck that never tries to look discreet. Built in rat style with an old body, raw looks, and fully exposed mechanics, it mixes the appearance of a machine forgotten in time with drag strip attitude. The idea follows an earth-moving concept, directly connected to the owner's business, and that shows in the handmade details. The main highlight is the Quad-Turbo V12 engine, a 12-cylinder motor prepared to deliver around 1,000 horsepower. There are no reliable numbers for displacement, torque, 0 to 60 miles per hour, or top speed, but watching this truck in action is enough to understand the idea. Here, the show is not about clean top speed. It is about brutality, smoke, high revs, and tires being punished until they disappear into the pavement. The transmission does not have widely documented public specifications, but in projects at this level, it needs to be reinforced to withstand violent torque hits. The whole setup seems designed to grab attention. A huge engine pushed forward, exposed turbos, short exhaust, red wheels, a low cab, and an almost aggressive stance. When it accelerates, it looks more like a crazed construction machine than a street truck. The sound is a fundamental part of the experience. Even before it moves, the V12 already delivers that thick, irregular rumble, while the Ford turbos help create a constant feeling of pressure. When the driver floors it, the rear disappears into smoke, and the truck practically becomes a living demonstration of raw mechanical force. In practice, this Chevrolet was not built for traditional heavy transport. It is a handcrafted show build made for events, videos, automotive gatherings, and demonstrations where the crowd wants noise, smoke, and unfiltered power. It gives the feeling that it was built less to follow rules and more to provoke a reaction. And if this Chevrolet already melts tires with 1,000 horsepower and the look of a crazy earth-moving machine, the next one takes this mix of truck and performance to an even more aggressive level. Peterbilt 359 Overkill. The Peterbilt 359 Overkill is proof that sometimes going too far is exactly the plan. The base is a 1984 Peterbilt 359. Transformed by its owner Jim Muncie from Ohio into a monstrous rat rod. In just 5 months, practically everything was handmade and customized, except for the original engine, creating a truck that truly lives up to the name Overkill. The original engine was kept, but the entire project began to breathe like a heavy hot rod. There are no reliable public numbers for horsepower, torque, 0 to 60 miles per hour, or top speed, but its purpose is very clear. Brutal presence, a deep roar, and plenty of visual power. It is a truck built to impress more through mechanical personality than through spec sheet numbers. The transmission is also not widely documented, but the whole setup follows the spirit of classic American trucks. With heavy driving, direct mechanical response, and that raw behavior of an old-school machine. The low body, stretched front end, large wheels, green and aluminum details, and exposed engine make the Overkill look like a highway truck turned into a garage-built creature. Visually, it feels like a mix between a classic Peterbilt, a handcrafted hot rod, and an industrial exhibition piece. The lowered front end, custom exhausts, handmade finish, and ground-hugging stance create a sense of strength, even when it is parked. Jim described the truck as brutal, imposing, and unique, and looking at it, it is hard to disagree. In practice, the Overkill became a show machine, made for events, gatherings, videos, and to attract people who grew up admiring long-hood American trucks. It carries the legacy of the Peterbilt 359, one of the most beloved models among truckers and collectors, but with a dose of boldness that turns nostalgia into spectacle. Enjoying these insane trucks showing real strength? Then hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell, because there are still many wild machines ahead. and the level is only going up from here. If the Overkill already shows how a classic can become an extreme machine, the next truck enters the scene with even more declared horsepower and a look designed to make any enthusiast stare without blinking. Tatra V12. The Tatra V12 is one of those trucks with a different kind of reputation, because Tatra has always been known for building machines outside the standard formula. Instead of following the common recipe for heavy trucks, the brand used its own solutions, widely applied in military, off-road, and severe-duty vehicles. When a version with a V12 engine appears, the result is a truck with brutal presence and mechanics built to take punishment. The main highlight is the V12 engine, a 12-cylinder motor known for strong operation and a deep roar. Depending on the version and preparation, these engines can easily go beyond 500 horsepower, but without the exact model details, it is not safe to state horsepower, torque, acceleration, or top speed as exact figures. What can be said is that the purpose here is not delicacy. It is continuous strength and resistance in extreme conditions. The transmission usually follows Tatra's heavy-duty vocation, with gear ratios made to keep the engine working strong at low and medium speeds. The suspension is one of the brand's most remarkable points, using the famous central backbone tube concept with swinging half axles, which helps the truck maintain ground contact on bad terrain. That is why many Tatra trucks seem to cross holes, mud, and rocks with a stability that surprises people. A Tatra V12 has that military or heavy expedition truck appearance. High cab, huge tires, tough chassis, and a stance that looks ready to leave the road without thinking twice. The sound of the V12 matches the whole package, deep, full, and metallic, different from the more common roar of American highway trucks. It is the kind of truck that seems more comfortable in mud than on clean asphalt. Tatra trucks with large engines became known in military operations, rescue work, off-road transport, rallying, and jobs where reliability matters more than appearance. This combination of strong engine, tough construction, and unique mechanical solutions turned the brand into a legend among people who love truly rugged trucks. And if the Tatra V12 already impresses with its durability and unusual engineering, the next truck starts bringing extreme strength closer to pure straight-line performance. Chevrolet V12 6 Turbos. The Chevrolet V12 6 Turbos is an evolution of the previous truck we already talked about, the Quad-Turbo version, which was already one of those Brazilian creations that seemed to have no limit for evolution. The base remained an old Chevrolet C68, transformed into an extreme diesel hot rod with a low, brutal, and completely unconventional look. The project had already attracted attention before, but now it appears with new colors, new details, and an even more aggressive presence. The original engine was removed to make room for a diesel MWM V12, a 12-cylinder engine that by itself would already be enough to turn any old truck into an absurd machine. But the owner was not satisfied with 4 turbos, so he went further and installed 6 turbos on the setup, taking the build to around 1,500 horsepower. There are no reliable numbers for torque, 0 to 60 miles per hour, or top speed, but with this level of preparation, the force appears brutally during launches and burnouts. A project with this much power requires a reinforced transmission, a properly sized coupling system, and an entire setup prepared to handle violent torque hits. The visual side follows the same proposal. Huge exposed engine, multiple visible turbos, an old lowered cab, eye-catching wheels, and that handcrafted machine stance made to intimidate. The sound of this Chevrolet is part of the show. The diesel V12 delivers a heavy, full roar, while the 6 turbos create visual and sound pressure that feels like something from competition. When it accelerates, it does not just move, it transforms the whole environment, raising smoke, making the crowd turn around, and proving that an old truck can also become a high-performance monster. This C68 was not built for cargo, highway hauling, or ordinary work. It was born for events, videos, automotive meets, and presentations where the audience wants to see real mechanical exaggeration. It is a creation that represents the Brazilian culture of outside-the-box projects very well. where creativity, diesel, welding, and plenty of boldness come together in an almost unbelievable machine. If this Chevrolet with 6 turbos already seems like the limit of exaggeration, the next truck shows that it is still possible to put more brutality, more presence, and more insanity on heavy wheels. Shockwave Jet Truck. The Shockwave Jet Truck is the kind of truck that seems to challenge the very definition of a truck. Created in the United States with the visual base of a Peterbilt, it became famous as one of the most extreme exhibition trucks in the world. Its purpose was never to pull cargo, but to turn a track into a spectacle, with fire, noise, and aircraft-like speed on wheels. Instead of a conventional diesel engine, the Shockwave received 3 Pratt & Whitney J34 jet engines, originally connected to the aviation world. Together, they were promoted with around 36,000 horsepower and more than 20,000 pounds of thrust, a force completely beyond reality for any ordinary truck. It could accelerate from 0 to more than 300 miles per hour in just a few seconds, and has been associated with speeds above 370 miles per hour in exhibitions and historical runs. The transmission, in this case, practically leaves the traditional conversation because the force comes from jet thrust, not from a regular mechanical transmission, sending torque to the wheels. Driving it requires a completely different kind of control, with progressive throttle input, special brakes, and parachutes to help stop the machine. It is less like driving a truck and more like controlling a land-based missile. Visually, the Shockwave is unforgettable. The Peterbilt cab keeps that classic American truck face, but the rear reveals the madness. 3 huge jet nozzles, giant flames, and a roar that you do not hear only with your ears. You feel it in your chest. At events, it raced side by side with airplanes, creating a scene that looked impossible for anyone who grew up seeing trucks as symbols of strength on the road. In practice, it became a legend on exhibition tracks, especially at air shows and speed events. The Shockwave marked generations because it took the idea of a powerful truck into an almost unbelievable territory, mixing American highway culture, aviation engineering, and pure spectacle. Even with its history marked by risks and tragedy, the legacy of this machine remains one of the most extreme chapters ever seen on wheels. And if a truck with 3 jet engines already seems like the peak of insanity, the next one has to be truly brutal to keep this list climbing. Thor 24 Peterbilt 359. The Thor 24 Peterbilt 359 is one of the most famous and exaggerated custom trucks ever built in America. The base is a 1984 Peterbilt 359, but almost everything was taken to the extreme by its creator, Mike Hara from California. The name Thor 24 comes directly from the absurd setup hidden under the hood. 24 cylinders in a machine built to impress even people who have seen everything. The engine is a combination of 2 12-cylinder Detroit diesel V12 engines, forming a 24-cylinder setup with 27.9 liters in total, or about 1,704 cubic inches. With heavy preparation and multiple superchargers, this monster delivers approximately 3,424 horsepower. The reported torque goes beyond 4,700 pound-feet, a brutal force for an exhibition truck that looks more like a Krone locomotive on wheels. The transmission was prepared to handle this brutality, but the Thor 24 is not known for official 0 to 60 miles per hour or top speed numbers. Its purpose is different, to show the peak of mechanical excess in truck form. With a massive hood, exposed engine, side exhausts, plenty of chrome, and an almost theatrical finish, it looks like a mix of classic Peterbilt, dragster, and mechanical artwork. Visually, it is impossible to ignore the Thor 24. It has black paint with flames, polished details, an imposing cab, and an engine base so large it looks like it never ends. When the engine comes to life, the sound of the 24 cylinders and the superchargers creates an almost cinematic presence, the kind that turns any automotive gathering into the main attraction. In practice, the Thor 24 was born for exhibitions, events, and collectors of extreme machines. It also became known worldwide after being auctioned for millions of dollars, reinforcing its status as a one-of-a-kind piece. It is not just a modified Peterbilt. It is a symbol of American excess, where horsepower, creativity, and mechanical showmanship were placed into the same truck. Today, we saw everything from a 1937 Ford with an engine that came from a Patriot missile battery to handcrafted rat rods, Chevrolet V12 trucks with multiple turbos, the brutal Kenworth C510, the Peterbilt Overkill, the Tatra V12, the legendary Shockwave Jet Truck, and the absurd Thor 24 Peterbilt 359, a true work of mechanical excess on wheels. Each one of them has its own personality. Some impress because of torque, others because of speed, others because of the roar, the look, or simply because of the crazy idea of putting way too much power into a truck that was already intimidating by nature. These are not just work tools or garage projects. They are legends made of metal, diesel, fire, smoke, and creativity. Created by people who looked at an ordinary truck and thought, we can make this way more insane. Now tell me in the comments, which one of these trucks would you put in first place? Which one would you like to see accelerating in person? And which project do you think best represents the true brute force of America's most powerful trucks? If you enjoy this kind of content, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell, because it shows YouTube that this content is relevant and helps the video reach more people who also enjoy extreme machines. Stay tuned, because every week there is a new video about the most incredible, powerful, and insane vehicles in the world. I'll see you in the next video.